This is the Pink Lifestyle Podcast. Rebranded, updated, and now based on the practice of mindfulness. It is my mission to guide and coach women toward a pink lifestyle. Purposeful, intentional, natural, and kind. We'll do this by discussing topics such as image and presence enrichment, integrative self-care, health and wellness, mindful thinking, and spiritual awareness. I am your host, Karen Bannister, and I am a certified image consultant and life coach. My opinions and insights are based on scientific research, personal experiences, and my own intuitive power, and will help your physical representation awaken and represent your inner strength and self-image. You can contact me on my website, KarenKBannister.com, or email pinklifestylepodcast@gmail.com. I invite you to follow and connect with me on social media channels as the Pink Lifestyle Podcast. This podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and others. Thank you for listening, and your journey toward finding your personal inner power begins now. Hello all, and welcome to the Pink Lifestyle Podcast, where we are in pursuit of a purposeful, intentional, natural, and kind life. I am your host, Karen Bannister, and as you know, my goal with this podcast is to introduce you to others who can bring fresh perspectives and new insights to help you on your personal journey. And today, I'm happy to introduce to you Felicia Searcy. Felicia is known as a premier results expert. Her purpose is her passion to empower you to discover and express your best self as you create the life that you love. She is an award-winning transformational coach, international speaker, author, and minister who has helped thousands create a path for living their dream life. For over 20 years, Felicia has worked with people from all walks of life who are seeking the spiritual side of success. As a highly sought-after international speaker, she has shared the stage with powerhouse leaders like international speaker Mary Morrissey, founder and CEO of eWomenNetwork, Sandra Yancey, and international motivational speaker Les Brown. Felicia's proven dream activation code helps folks just like you accelerate your results as you create a richer, more fulfilling life. So welcome, Felicia. I am honored to have you here today on my podcast, and we can't wait to hear all about you.
Yeah, my joy. It is absolutely my joy to be here today.
Oh, fabulous. So, like I just read, it sounded like you started your journey, 20 years ago. Would you mind, telling us how you started and a little bit about your journey and how you chose this path?
Yeah, so it's been a lot longer than 20 years. I think 20 years is kind of when I got official.
Okay.
But, I started on this journey. I, like so many others, came from a less than desirable background, lots of pain, and absorbing lots of erroneous messages about myself. And life just got hard. And there was a point when, that kind of Scarlett O'Hara moment where I shook my right.
I like that. Okay.
There's got to be another way, and it's it's such a cliche, but there's a reason why cliches are the way they are. That when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. That there was just a whole technicolor world that began to open up to me in terms of a different way of being, a different way of living. I began to develop just a deep sense of awareness of that there's something so much bigger, that there truly is a force for love at work in every single one of us.
I love that.
I became aware of my own indescribable power and just fell in love with the reality of this present in every single being on this planet. And I discovered a system I describe it as a spiritual success system that, when applied consistently with this perspective of it being the pathway to deepen our sense of community and companionship with the very energy that wove us into existence, we truly do grow even more into these amazing beings that we are created to be. We create a life that we absolutely love, a life that is worthy of us, and it is our path to how we transform the planet. Here's the thing I get about your listeners, right? If they're listening to you, they are deeply heart-centered, purposeful people, right? Their deep desire is to make a difference, to have purpose, to be intentional. And when we really dedicate ourselves to listening deeply to what's seeking to come alive in us through the form of the question, what would I love? You come to discover this is the path of your purpose, and it is your greatest contribution to the people around you and our planet as a whole.
Wow. You are speaking my language, Felicia. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. So it was more than 20 years ago. So you had this awakening, I'm going to call it. So did you know right away, I'm going to be a coach? Was there
No,
something
that was several careers later. Right?
Oh, okay.
So there was a path of deep study, of lots of amazing teachers, applying, tripping, failing miserably at some things, but having the structure around me to learn how to harvest the good from it in order then to put it in service to this next iteration that was coming forward. And so I reached the point in my life. So here's part two, right? So there was part one, things just took off exponentially. And then part two, I reached a place where life was really good. I mean, outside looking in, life was really good. Yet there was still this ache and this sense of dissatisfaction where it was like it was an almost it, right? It was almost it. And I knew deep down we were not created to live an almost it life.
Very true.
Right?
Yes.
You ask people, how are things going? It's like, good. And there's a qualifier to it, right?
Right.
And I noticed that I was still qualifying, that there was still a qualifier.
Oh, okay.
And because I had been in such deep study of what I call, well, not just me, there are a lot of people out there, they call it universal law. I knew that there was a level that I just haven't learned to unlock yet. And that's when I got systematic in my study. I got systematic in how I studied, with whom I studied, and how I applied it. And in that process, that's when I really learned, it's like somebody handed me the keys to the kingdom. And as I began to apply that, that's when things exponentially, really took off for me in a way that was so tangible and so reflective of what my deepest desires were. And I was already doing a form of this work. But when this really started taking off in a very systematic way for me, and when I started taking off, because the thing that I want people to hear, the results are great. My current results are like off the chart. I just pinch myself. And the results are just simply a reflection of all of us, whatever those results may be, whether it's the way that I live or whatever the dream is of, your listeners, that the purpose of that dream, it's not to get things. It's not to get the money or to get the job or to get the spouse or, the perfect body, although we're never going to get a perfect body or whatever it is, right? It's the dream is the way that the universe invites us into our own personal transformation. It's the growth that's required in order to be able to be the person who can allow the dream and live the dream. It's not to get things, it's for who you become in the process. So as I really saw that, and I saw that the way that I was serving was good. It was good. But I knew I wanted so much more impact. That's when I stepped into this version of the work that I do in the world now. And I'm my desire is to be broad in reach, narrow in message and system, because it's deep in its application, but it's so elegant in its simplicity. And it's not mine. It's just, when I talk about a spiritual success system, for me, it's just an accumulation of what lots of people that are much more brilliant than I am have been teaching. I've just distilled it down into words that I can understand. I taught special ed for years. I'm not saying I'm special ed.
Okay.
That was like my original career, was that speech therapist, special ed teacher. And one of the things that I realized for me, which is probably why I resonated so deeply with that, with my kids in that profession, I need things simple. I need things broken down and streamlined, and just give me a super simple formula. Tell me what to do, and I can do that. And that's what I honed it down to, where we don't have to spend a lot of time trying to understand just what it is. We can go deep in its application. And so that's what I'm up to in the world now.
Absolutely love that. In my coaching, it seems like people, they expect things to be complicated and difficult, or they make it more complicated and difficult. So to hear you say, you just distill it down to the simple concepts, easy to understand for you. I mean, that should resonate and reinforce for so many people that the life that you want is within reach.
Yeah.
It's right there. If you don't have quit complicating it. It's not, quit putting, like, being inside your head and thinking too much. It's just everything you're saying is, like I said, speaking my language and resonating with me so well. And I, like a minute ago, you said, I didn't make good enough notes, but something about you letting the universe in. Is that what you were saying? When you're doing your growth, you had to learn to let the universe in to hear the language, or what? Tell me. I know it was something profound, but I'm like, I can't write it down fast enough.
Well, so I'm probably not going to repeat it exactly, because you know this, right? You start opening up and your mouth starts moving, kind of thing. It's the purpose of your dream is to help you discover more of who you are. And so I don't know that I necessarily said that, and that's a key piece of the work that I do, right? So that's a perfect segue, perfect invitation to really step into understanding that a key piece of really working with the question of what would I love, which I have really come to discover, that's a master question. It's a feel-good question, right? People feel good when they're asking that question. Oh my God, what would I love, right? But when it comes down to really listening deeply to the answer, because that is, you're initiating the conversation between you and this indescribable life force that's moving through you. That's the initiation of a conversation, right? And there's you've got to go down all the layers of all the reasons why you've not even ever allowed yourself to consider this in the first place. And this thing around letting the universe in, one of the key reasons people have difficulty even asking that question is because every single one of us, number one, has a way that we see ourselves, that we have an identity that matches the way that we move in the world, and it matches our current facts. And my guess is that most of your listeners have really good facts. It's like outside looking in, they're not really wanting for much. And again, the desire is the universe's way of inviting us into more. So there's that process of opening up to really learn how to accommodate more good, We have to literally train ourselves
Mm.
to allow a greater degree of flow and abundance and fulfillment
You said it.
to move through us, right?
Right.
This is when people talk about, well, I'm always sabotaging myself. I'm always sabotaging myself, as if they're doing something wrong. They're not doing anything wrong. It's actually how you're wired, because you're wired to stay safe and not take risks. And somewhere along the line, we equated more fulfillment, more abundance, more goodness, more love as risky. And so, right? So as
Absolutely. Right.
part of this process is learning to really come to know at a very visceral, granular level the nature of the universe, which is good. The universe conspires for our good, and not just get it conceptually. And here's where I see the breakdown with people, is that they can say the words, but they don't have an experience, an embodiment, and an identity with it enough to really bring it forward so it can serve them to do the necessary actions, to then open up and allow and trust, to learn to trust.
Yeah, that's a big
good in their life.
That is a big one.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm just going to sit here and listen to you talk all day. I mean, it's just, you're just absolutely right. I want to kind of bounce off thoughts. I noticed on your website, you started to talk about limiting beliefs, which I'm sure everybody's heard that term. I know you've heard it from me, limiting belief. But what I like that you pointedly say, you talk about the universe, letting things in, accepting the good. You're right. Well, tell us what your take on what a limiting belief is. Is it good? Is it bad? How do you deal with it?
Okay.
That caught my attention, and I want you to share that with people.
Yeah, I have a very different take. I don't necessarily believe in blocks or limiting beliefs. What I believe is that your beliefs are a perfect fit for your current life. Your beliefs support whatever the beliefs are, it supports your current experience beautifully. Your dream requires that you have a different way of being, a different way of seeing, a different way of believing. So it's not that they're limiting, they just don't fit the dream. So we're not blocked. We don't have blocks. What we have is a gap. It's a gap between who we are and how we view the world and how we live in the world compared to what it is that we're creating. The gap represents not just what you have to do, it's who do I need to become? What's the transformation that my dream that's up here, up the gap, is asking me to step in? And what is my dream informing me? And what is it that I now need to know and claim more about myself in order to be able to open up and allow this greater degree of good to flow through me? And then it shows up in the land of our results.
I want everybody to rewind and hear that part again. Limiting beliefs are not what most people say they are. Oh my God, so agree with you. It's just a gap from where you are now, from where you want to be, and it just
isn't that a whole lot more empowering, Karen?
It is. So is. And when I heard you say that, I was like, oh, thank you. That's yeah. Okay, so you've clearly done a lot of your own personal work, your own personal growth, and this is what you help. I'm guessing you're coaching what you help people with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, how difficult? What an awakening, an experience? How difficult or earth-shattering was it for you? Because I know some people almost kind of scares them when they hear the word awakening or personal growth, and I don't want to deal with that. I mean, what was the experience like for you to get you where you are now and being this powerful being who can help people on their journeys? What was it like?
Yeah, so it's so growth is messy, right? It's a disruption. because you're having to disrupt your current life. And there've been iterations along the way. And here's the thing, because I can get into my story, but every single one of us has our own story, right? The thing that I want people to understand is that situations are going to show up no matter what. So when I look at the progression of my growth, it's not that, oh my gosh, the growth was hard. It was unpreferred situations and incidences showed up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, these were not things that I would plan. Like when my first year of building my business, my husband became critically ill. I mean, critically ill. It came to the point where he ran out of insurance, and I was at a choice point. Do I go back to teaching where I could get him insurance? Do I keep going with this? It was a remarkably painful, dark time, and it caused me to lean in deep, number one, and get clear about what was mine to do. And I got super clear that the most loving, empowering thing that I could do was to continue on my path rather than back up, that my answers lied in the growth that was required, and that I was learning even more to take what my mentor calls the content of our life, because the content's going to show up no matter what, right?
Absolutely true. Right.
It's how we interact with it. And so the content of I really come to understand that the content of my life, when I engage with it intentionally and with purpose, using your two words, then becomes the curriculum of my evolution. And so what I do is that I help people understand, on the path to your dream, there are going to be things that are going to have to fall away. But the thing is, they're going to end up falling away no matter what. It's just they can't sustain. So you either do it intentionally, or you do it at the mercy of what's happening to you.
Ooh, that's good.
When you do it with intention and purpose, then you make yourself available to the gift that it's bringing to you, that you're now then able to harness that growth and that power and put it in service to what is bringing you most alive, which is your dream. And so that's what happened. That I just kept leaning in. I'll never forget, there was a moment when I had to make a decision with my husband and do something that was not at the top of my list at that time, but it was the best that I could do. And I remember driving away from it thinking, this is going to be the thing that will transform me at depth. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but this is going to be the thing. It's like I made an intentional decision to make myself available for this, the thing to transform me at depth. We're in the middle of that right now. Every single person listening has something going on that they could say, this is the thing that's going to take me out. And when you really come to understand who we are as these indescribably powerful beings of light that have been given this unlimited possibility and potential, and that whatever content is showing up in our lives, whether we're in pursuit of our dreams or not, when we learn that the dream is the process of transformation, and the content's going to be there anyway. No matter who you are being impacted right now. And as you learn how to lean in and make a conscious decision, this is going to be the thing that is going to transform me at depth. I'm going to engage with this in a way that is going to fundamentally transform me at depth. That's the process of owning who you really are capable of being and allowing yourself to truly step into the life that you are created to live. Those were a lot of words. I hope that
they're good words. And it all goes back, not all goes back, but it does circle back to, like you were saying earlier, learning to trust yourself, to know that when these circumstances or things, present themselves in your life, to recognize and trust that I have to make this decision, but you have the skills and the energy and the inward looking, and to know that you can lean into it and take it where you're supposed to be going.
Yeah, and I would take it even one step further, that it's not even a matter of just trusting yourself, but it's number one, trusting that there's something so much bigger at work in your life, and trusting universal law, trusting that laws really are at work and they work. Because I see a lot of people it's that self-reliance, right? That I got this. I'm just put myself up on my bootstraps and I got this.
Yep.
And there's a certain level of value to that, but I invite people into knowing that there's something so much more, that there's something that's got you, that it's not you. There's something that's got you.
Absolutely agree. That's where my awakening came from. When I was the bootstraps, I got this, I can do it on my own. And then one day, or not one day, but I mean, just this process, it was like, holy cow, things started opening up for me and growing and becoming that I never thought possible. And it kind of freaked me out. Like I was saying at first, I guess the trust, but the belief and the acceptance that this stuff really does exist. And my life has become so much better and truer and fuller. And so I'm starting to babble now, but I totally understand what you're saying. And it's, listeners, it's true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, and you can see it in you, Karen. I mean, you exude that energy of life and fullness, and that doesn't come unless you've walked through something and discovered something.
I'm very pleased to hear you say that. If you met me 10 years ago, this woman would not be sitting here right now at all. It's been an amazing journey. So you're a coach, you're a speaker, you're a writer. How else do you do one-on-one coaching? Do you do group coaching? What's your process? How do you work with people?
Yeah, so I really appreciate the question. I do very little private coaching, just simply because there's such powerful groups. And I'm very grateful that my business has grown to a robust level. And so we've created a remarkable community. Everything is grounded in spiritual law. And what I mean by that is that there's a real key teaching component to what we do. It's not just, what are you working on today? Where do you want to go? But it's really unpacking the granular application of universal law, of understanding the power of our thinking, understanding that there is an energy that organizes around who we predominantly are and how we're showing up, how to tap into the stream of infinite intelligence to be able to hear the guidance and know what your next action step is. And again, how to literally open up and allow a greater degree of good into your life. And so we really get into the finessing of how to unpack and apply those laws on a consistent, persistent basis as you're putting in service to a life that you love. So there's a key teaching component, and then we're working with as an amazing community of then how to take that and apply it to the stuff that shows up in your daily life, right? You're out there, you're applying it, stuff is moving, and I've had clients that, oh my God, it's happening. What do I do? And there's that right? You've been there. Put the brakes on. It's like, no brakes.
Right.
It's what we do. So it gives me an opportunity to wrap my arms around them and really support them in coming to understand how to apply this. So teaching, coaching, lots of visioning. I really help people understand the art and the science of visioning. Because it's foundational. Here's the thing. This is where it all starts, right? We have this amazing faculty of our imagination. We're the only species on the planet that we're aware of that actually has the capacity to consciously choose the images that we run in the movie screen of our mind, in the words of Joseph Murphy, and to understand we're always running something. You're always running something. You can't turn it off.
True.
People tell me I don't have time to vision. That's like saying I don't have time to deal with gravity.
Exactly. Yeah, that is always, I don't have to, well, what are you doing right now? What were you doing? Yeah, then you fully don't understand what I'm talking about.
That's it. Yeah. So that's a really key piece of really digging deep and really really listening deeply to what is it that brings you most alive? What is it that you would really love? Learning how to formulate that into a very clear vision, and then what to do, how to work with that vision on a daily, consistent basis in a way that you begin to change and you see your world change. So there's a whole system and levels of complexity that complexity is probably not the right word. It's a full spectrum system of support to really help people move forward.
Fabulous. Now I'm also going to guess, based on experience, this isn't something that happens overnight, right? This is a process of, letting people know, to allow themselves that it is a process. I mean, I'm guessing you're talking about months, a year at least, to work through this. And
in order to be most effective, so I live in Southern California, and there's like the popular thing is In-N-Out Burger. Haven't tried?
Girl, I just moved to Tennessee from Southern California over the summer. Please don't talk about In-N-Out Burger.
You're going to have to explain the phenomenon to me, because I haven't quite thought
about it. Okay. Well,
it's interesting because I moved from Tennessee out to Southern California. But anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole. But it's not fast food where you drive up to a squat box, put your order in, and then drive up to a window and they reach out and hand you a bag. Mm-hmm. That's what I call episodic manifestation. That people begin to work with universal law, and they'll manifest the house, they'll manifest the parking lot, they'll manifest the job, but they have not gone through the transformational process where now they are truly able to be present for the experience of it. That there's still that element of constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering if it's going to last, if it's going to, if it's going to happen again. And so there's not a real trust in the consistency of it, and you have not brought you along with it. So the way that I do it, and I don't mean to sound like that in the way that I do it, but my methodology is such that, yes, we're building out your dream, but we're bringing you along with it. So you're able to be fully present and really be there for the experience of it, and have it sustained in order to have a foundation to keep them growing. So yes, the people that are most successful, that really not only see their results change, but they are fundamentally transformed, is at minimally a year. I have people who stay with me. In fact, I just had somebody who signed up for year 4 because things just keep getting better. And her level of understanding of what she's learned is great for her current life. And she now knows it, she knows it as her new life is emerging, that she wants help to grow into the woman who will be able to allow that new level of good into her life.
Oh, that just sounds exciting. I don't even know this woman, and I'm so excited for her and her journey. Oh my gosh, you must find such fulfillment working with people.
I love this, Karen. I am absolutely enamored by people. People just take my breath away, and I'm sure you.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah.
And just the power and the beauty, and to be able to really help people recognize that for themselves and just take a stand for them. I mean, there's nothing greater.
Oh my gosh, what an amazing message. What an amazing coach you are. Wow. So how do people, so I know some of my listeners, they're wondering, how do I get more of this woman? How do I talk to her? How do people get a hold of you?
So a couple different ways. Obviously, my website, FeliciaSearcy.com. And there's a gift that you can opt into. There's a place that you can go to schedule a conversation with me. I do free monthly masterminds for members in a Facebook group that I have called Ultimate Life. I don't do these mastermind groups on Facebook. We actually get together on Zoom. Where I'm really able to get my hands on you. And it's for members only in the group. So it's the group's name is Ultimate Life Now. Mm-hmm. So if you go search Ultimate Life Now and request to join. I ask that you agree to the terms and the conditions, and I ask for your email so we can keep you updated with other stuff that we've got going on. Mm-hmm. And, I just did a live right before I came on here. We get, people bring their questions, good conversation get going. It's just my way of supporting people with their dream before we ever, and if we never work together formally. And then, like I said, it's a free monthly mastermind where we get on and I do a little bit of teaching and I hear where you are. And I just, again, just pour into you, helping you move forward. The only thing I ask is that you make a contribution to a charity of your choice.
Well, that's not a bad ask. That's admirable. That's loving. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh, what a person of service you are. That's fabulous. Now, if you're listening, if you didn't catch that Facebook group, please don't fret. I will have it in the show notes and I'll have it in social media. You will definitely be able to get a hold of Felicia. No worries. So tell me, Felicia, is there anything new or next coming up for you?
Yeah, I do 3-day, and I'm obviously right now I'm doing virtual events. So I have a 3-day virtual event coming up in January. Don't have the exact dates yet. So just one of the reasons why you want to get on my email list and become a member of the group, where we dedicate 3 days going deep into this conversation. Me and my team and I, we just pour into you for 3 days, really helping you ground in what is it that is coming most alive in you, really helping you understand what do we mean by these universal laws. Notice those places where you start backing up, what to do about it, how to know what your next step is, and then equally, if not most importantly, learning how to let yourself have more good, learning how to accommodate a greater degree of good in your life. So it's a 3-day powerhouse experience. I'm really honored by the feedback that we get from my events. One of these days we'll get back to doing them in person, but right now you do it from the comfort of your home. So get on my list, join the Facebook group, and you'll be the first to know when that will be scheduled in January.
Absolutely wonderful messaging. That's fabulous. Again, I'll have all the contact information in the show notes and the social media so you can get a hold of Felicia. And again, Felicia, thank you so much
for
coming on the podcast and sharing yourself with me and my listeners. I do greatly appreciate it. I can tell there's just so much love and light in your life. And again, thank you for sharing it here with us today. And until next time.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you for listening to the Pink Lifestyle Podcast. Again, you can reach me on my website, KarenKBannister.com, or email pinklifestylepodcast@gmail.com. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and others, and on social channels including Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Pinterest as Pink Lifestyle Podcast. Congratulations on starting your journey. Please share this with your friends and family and focus on creating your own pink life. Until next time.